Assalamu alaikum, ladies and gentlemen. It's your host, Mr. Marfan Gadit, and welcome to the fourth podcast of Dining Legal Lounge from Dining Legal Clinic. Today, we have our guest, Mr. Baristar Iftikhar Ahmed Shah. Sir, thank you so much, sir. How are you, sir?
I am good. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm good as well. And in our today's podcast, we are going to have his noteworthy opinion to the relevant questions which you guys have provided to us. Starting with our first question, sir, I would like to seek your opinion that you have had the chance to have numerous affiliations from the UK and from the UK legal system. How do you compare the UK legal system with that of the Pakistani law?
So let us go back. हम थोड़ा तारीख में पीछे जाएं तो जो सिस्टम हमने अडॉप्ट किया है वो है तो अंग्रेज़ों का सिस्टम, पर उसमें इतनी कोई मेजॉरिटी चेंजेस नहीं हुई जब से उनका हमने सिस्टम अडॉप्ट किया 1947 में. और हालांकि उन्होंने अपना जो लॉ है वो काफ़ी डेवलप किया है हर हवाले से. नाउ योर क्वेश्चन इज, आपका सवाल ये कि फ़र्क क्या है दोनों में. तो सिस्टम तो तकरीबन होंगे, कानून एक ही हिसाब के हैं. फ़र्क सिर्फ ये है कि यूके का जो लॉ है, क्रिमिनल हो या सिविल हो, उनका जो लॉ है जो अभी डेवलप हुआ है, उनका प्राइमरी फोकस है 3: कोर्ट का टाइम बचाना, पैसे बचाना और लोगों का टाइम बचाना और पैसे बचाना. ठीक है, तो उनके सारे जो प्रोसीजर्स होते हैं वो उस पर फोकस करते हैं. ठीक है.
Alright, so once you have presented your worthy opinion, I would like to ask and seek your opinion that what are the ways in which we can overcome our shortcomings in our legal system?
I would say reform, तब्दीली, सोच समझ के तब्दीली लाना वो ज़्यादा बेहतर रहेगा हमारे लिए, क्योंकि सिस्टम तो चल नहीं रहा ना अभी. तकलीफ़ होती है लोगों को, लिटिगेशंस पेंडिंग है काफ़ी सालों से, स्पेशली सिविल जो केसेस हैं वो सालों साल तक चलते रहते हैं. उसमें फिर कोताहियाँ कुछ सिस्टम की भी हैं, कुछ पार्टीज़ की भी होती हैं. तो आइदर वे सिस्टम इम्प्रूवमेंट तो है, सिस्टम के अंदर जो रूम फॉर इम्प्रूवमेंट तो है, और वो पार्लियामेंट को लाना पड़ेगा कभी ना कभी to improve the system.
All right, so it's very great. One of your great very advices that we need to have a revolutionary process and we need to have address the shortcomings which are coming in our system. And because we have mentioned the word and terminology parliament, in UK we have seen that parliament is the most supreme authority, but in Pakistan we have seen that the importance of parliament has been neglected to some extent or to many extent. So what do you think and what's your opinion about that? How can we, regain the supremacy it should has?
See, every country has a birth. We gave birth in 1947, and it's been just about 60 or 70 years till we have gained our independence. So in my opinion, we're still a very young country, but we haven't been allowed to develop as such as a democracy for the reasons that sometimes for whatever reasons, martial law is imposed. And then that stops the democratic process into developing. So how you would take an example of a baby, वो छोटा बच्चा होता है, बड़ा होगा, ठोकरे खाएगा, सीखेगा सारी चीज़ें. तो वो साइकिल हमारा डेवलप नहीं होता ना. डेमोक्रेसी होती है, फिर कोई हिंड्रेंस आ जाती है, फिर जब नई डेमोक्रेसी आती है, नई हुकूमत आती है, वो फिर ज़ीरो से स्टार्ट करती है. वो थोड़ी बड़ी होती है, थोड़ा डेवलप होने सिस्टम शुरू कर देता है, तो दोबारा से रीसेट लगाया जाता है. तो आई थिंक अगर हमें एज अ नेशन इम्प्रूव करना है, क्योंकि देखिए ये जो नेशन की साइकिल है, जो बर्थ है और उसकी जो ग्रोथ है, ये कोई सिर्फ हमारे साथ तो नहीं हुई ना. हज़ारों, मतलब 100 की तादाद में मुल्क है, सबकी इसी तरह से कहानी है. तो सिस्टम को छोड़ा जाए ताकि वो आगे इम्प्रूवमेंट की तरफ जाए, बनिस्बत के हर दफ़ा रीसेट बटन दबाया जाए, तो उससे तो कुछ नहीं होगा ना, उससे तो कोई सीखेगा नहीं कुछ. तो आई थिंक दैट इज़ वेयर जो पार्लियामेंट की आप बात कर रहे हैं कि पार्लियामेंट यूके में सुप्रीम है, और क्योंकि वो अनहिंड्रेड चलते हुए आ रहे हैं ना कई 100 सालों से, तो वो अपने आप को ठीक करते हुए आ रहे हैं. जो नए लोग आते हैं वो पिछलों की गलतियों से सीखते हैं. यहाँ पे शायद इसकी कमी है, मेरा जो ओपिनियन है.
All right. So once you have submitted that we all should learn from our past mistakes and each and everyone should be held liable. Do you think that in the inefficiency of the legal system, only the court should be held liable or there are other parties involved as well, like the prosecution, the defense and so on?
The legal system, no legal system is 100% bulletproof, 100% the best. We cannot say that this system is best. We cannot say that system is best. A lot of countries have different systems in them. But I would agree with you that it won't be, if one comes to the conclusion that Pakistan's judicial system has failed, it won't be just the judiciary itself to blame. I think that would be very unfair. I think all concerned, including the litigants, including the lawyers, including the court staff, including the prosecution, all would share some proportion of the blame.
Right. So we can have a conclusion here that each and every stakeholder should acquire their responsibility and should be liable likewise according to their contributions. But the main key factor is this, that in recent years we have seen that the judiciary has become too much controversial because we think it's a second institution, it's the most supreme institution, especially our Supreme Courts. But nowadays on media and on social media, they have been criticized a lot. And the public perspective has deteriorated to a lot of extent. So how do you think that the judiciary can regain its image in that perspective?
It is not the judiciary's concern to actually regain their image. So if we compare our judiciary with modern US judiciaries, every decision will be criticized, right? Because there are two parties, one wants to win, the other one wants to win as well. So whoever will be eventually the losing party will criticize that decision regardless. So we will always have that criticism, and that criticism is good for the system. And perhaps one can't say that the general public has lost faith in the judiciary, because that is just probably a vague statement. There is no statistic to actually prove that hypothesis, if you understand what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so moving to our question number 7, we know that you have been a mediator from UK as well, and considering that, I would like to have your opinion and stance that to what extent do you think that the Pakistani legal system has completed and has achieved the concept of mediation and ADR and so on and so forth in our legal system?
Right. So I have done a course of ADR ODR, and I would like to answer this question in twofold. Firstly, that we have always had jirgas, we have always had elders resolving issues. We've already had family issues being resolved by the head of the family. Now, that concept of compromising or settling out of court is not alien to Pakistan, certainly not alien to Pakistan. So I feel that most people, reasonable people, do try to settle it outside of court, and even courts are used as a measure to bargain, to file a case, then to see each other's strengths and weaknesses, and then perhaps they can come to an out-of-court settlement. But to say that how the courts have helped ADR or ODR, I can't really see how the courts would help, but sometimes judges do give the options to the parties and do tell them on and on, listen, it is better that you compromise the matter because this matter will linger on and on. Now, because the judiciary, there's a whole process that you need to go through in order for you to get something out of it. ADR, ODR should be a valid option for a lot of people to resolve these issues outside of court.
All right, thank you so much. Moving towards my question number 8, in terms of litigation, do you think that the courts of the Pakistan have and do uphold the benchmark of proving the cases beyond reasonable doubt and deciding it on that basis?
So let me just repeat your question. आपका सवाल ये है कि भाई पाकिस्तान की अदालतों ने क्या वो successfully reasonable of doubt decide कर सकती हैं केसेस में. Now जो reasonable of doubt की बात आती है ना, कि क्या ये जो एविडेंस आया है इसकी बेसिस पे सज़ा हो सकती है या नहीं। नॉर्मली तो ये मैथमेटिकल फॉर्मूला होता है, पर हर जज का अपना व्यू होता है और जज के पास जो कागजात होंगे, कागज़ के 4 टुकड़ों से देख के उसने उसूली तौर पे फैसला करना होता है। अब वो कागज़ कोर्टें खुद तो कलेक्ट नहीं करती, लिहाजा उनका प्रोसेस होता है, इन्वेस्टिगेशन के ज़रिए वो तमाम चीज़ें आती हैं और जो भी इन्वेस्टिगेशन के अंदर होता है एजेंसीज जो करती हैं वही तमाम चीज़ें सामने आती हैं। तो कोर्ट्स जो है वो उन्होंने कागज़ को देखना होता है और वो सक्सेसफुल हो उसमें प्रूफ करना या ना, वो the court has nothing to do with that. The court simply has to see whether beyond reasonable doubt this case has been proved or not. ठीक है, क्रिमिनल केस के अंदर ये क्रिमिनल केस का रूल है। तो ये जो रूल है बियॉन्ड रीजनेबल डाउट का, ये हमारा नहीं, हमने अडॉप्ट किया हुआ है और ये जो रूल चलता हुआ आ रहा है। अब ये रूल तब से चलता हुआ आ रहा है जब कोई फोरेंसिक नहीं होता था, कोई CDR, कोई CCTV, कोई मोबाइल फ़ोन वगैरह कुछ नहीं होता। आजकल तो जदीद दौर है, तो अगर कोई फेलियर हो रहा है तो वो सॉलिड से वो किसी और की वजह से हो रहा है, उसको कलेक्ट करने के तरीके हैं, वहाँ पे फोकस किया जाए। कोर्ट में कोर्ट को बंदा ब्लेम नहीं कर सकता इस चीज़ के लिए, क्योंकि अभी तो काफ़ी सारे वो आ गई हैं ना रिसोर्सेज। तो बियॉन्ड रीजनेबल डाउट को कोर्ट कम नहीं कर सकती, उसने तो वो फॉलो करना है जो रूल जो 1000 साल से चलता हुआ है, 1000 साल से नहीं, मतलब 200-250 साल से चलता हुआ है अंग्रेज़ का असूल, तो उसने तो वो फॉलो करना है।
All right, because we have adopted this concept as well from the English legal system, we should adopt the concept of accessibility and the effectiveness of justice as well. We think that in Pakistan, it is ensured that each and every individual do get accessibility to the justice, and it is efficient enough or not.
आपका सवाल है कि क्या आम आवाम जो जुडिशल सिस्टम का कोई फ़ायदा उठा सकती है? नहीं, देखिए कानून में तो है, कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन इज़ इक्वल फॉर एवरीवन, राइट? It's a fundamental right that everyone be treated equally according to law. जो accessibility की बात है वो फिर आपके जनरल पब्लिक की लिटरेसी रेट और एजुकेशन की बात है, क्योंकि हर इंसान को पता होना चाहिए कि उनके क्या हकूक़ हैं। जब पता होगा तो फिर वो आएंगे कोर्टों में, आएंगे तो मिलेंगे उनको वो राइट्स। तो कोई उनको हिंडर नहीं करता, सिर्फ उनको नॉलेज चाहिए उस चीज़ की। काफ़ी फैमिली केसेस में हम देखते हैं कि बच्चों को, औरतों को पता ही नहीं होता कि उनके हुकूक क्या हैं इस मुल्क में, तो वो तो सवाल उठता ही नहीं है कि उनको मिले। और एफिशिएंसी की आप बात कर रहे हैं, तो वो एफिशिएंसी तो एक अलग ही चैप्टर है ना, उस पर तो डिबेट चलता ही रहेगा एफिशिएंसी की टॉपिक पे।
Obviously, it's a subjective matter. And likewise, you have said that people should come to court and it is open for everyone. But because you have been practicing as a Sindh High Court advocate as well, and you obviously have experience of visiting our district courts and city court as well. We have, being the law students, have witnessed that the environment out there is not very friendly or welcoming for even to the legal fraternity or people like us who are in first year and second year of law. So how do you think that we can improve it, like in terms of infrastructure, in terms of environment, and so on and so forth?
See, when these courts were created, they were created for a very small city. Now the city has developed into a very big city. बहुत बड़ा शहर बन गया ये, और वो जगह उतनी है, अब उसके अंदर हमने मज़ीद पुलिस थाने बना दिए हैं, मज़ीद कोर्टें बढ़ गई हैं, तो जगह तो तंग है। मेन सिटी के अंदर, आपके सदर सिटी के अंदर आपकी डिस्ट्रिक्ट कोर्ट है, तो जगह का तो इशू हर वक्त वहाँ पे रहेगा। पर आप कह रहे हैं कि इनको इम्प्रूव किया जाए, तो वो फंडिंग से होगा।
So you have said that the reality is being portrayed out there, and one of the realities also this on the other side of the story, that the judicial processes have hindered the bureaucracy as well. So what do you think, that to what extent this statement is true and false?
I think political cases, revenge seeking after somebody else comes into power, I think वो revenge politics में जो political cases होते हैं वो फिर पूरे process को slow down कर देते हैं. But some of them are not also political, some of them are actual genuine cases. उस पर अगर फोकस किया जाए तो परहैप्स शायद ये मसला हल हो जाए.
It can be improved. And now, because you have mentioned the terminology of cases as well, now I would like to see and I would like to hear from you that what are some of the noteworthy cases which you have experienced and dealt in your experience.
Personally, from my own cases, I would like to say that Parveen Rahman's case was one of the most biggest cases that I've ever done. And because she was a remarkable woman, although I was representing one of the accused in that case, but having read the file, I have great respect for that lady. In my junior years, I think Rao Anwar's case, when we were defending him as his defense counsel, when I was assisting Mr. Amir Mansoob in the matter. Then moving on to the current cases that I'm dealing with, then the Sardar Khan Chandyo versus Umar Rubab Chandyo case in Dadu. That is one of Interior Sindh's most prominent cases because it does turn up in the media every now and then. And the most high profile case I would say that I have had the opportunity to deal with and to be a part of is the Zulfikar Ali Bhutto reference before the Supreme Court, in which I am assisting Farooq H. Naik. And although I am part of a team, it is a great pleasure to be part of something so big.
That's really remarkable to hear that all from you. Now, towards concluding this podcast, I would like to know your opinion and your advices which you would like to give to the young entrants into the field of law.
My advice to them would be basically two things, summing it up: to work hard, and secondly, to work on their communication skills. Because I feel all the graduates, most of them, all the new people that are coming into the profession, वो लोग जो नए नए काम शुरू कर रहे हैं, घर से स्टेप आउट कर रहे हैं, काम शुरू कर रहे हैं, वो थोड़ा कम्युनिकेशन में इशू होता है. कुछ बोला कुछ जाता है, समझा कुछ जाता है, कहना कुछ जाते हैं, हो कुछ जाता है. तो अगर कम्युनिकेशन पे फोकस किया जाए कि वो जो कह रहे हैं अगला समझ रहा है, अगला जो कह रहा है वो लोग समझ रहे हैं, तो ये बहुत बेसिक सी चीज़ है पर बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट चीज़ है.
Now, concluding our podcast on this statement that we would like to see some of your worthy statements to just conclude this podcast for the general public and for our viewers who are just watching it in general.
मैं तो सर ये कहना पसंद करूँगा, सीधी बात ये है कि हमें रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी लेनी चाहिए इस मुल्क की. ये नहीं कह सकते कि उसने ऐसा किया, उसने वैसा किया. हम खुद जब तक जिम्मेदारी नहीं लेंगे, आप और मैं, तब तक ये चलता रहेगा.
Yeah, that's a really true definition and true image which we have portrayed. Thank you so much. So this was our podcast number 4 from Planning Legal Lounge from Planning Legal Clinic. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Take care. Allah Hafiz.